Welcome to Stoppage Time Thursday, round 17 of the Premier League season in England. Three big games we're going to discuss on today's card. Newcastle, Fulham, Arsenal versus Brighton, and then we're going to finish it off with a Sunday game that a lot of people want to see. It is Liverpool hosting Manchester United. With me from WagerTalk.com, Pavlos, Nick Borman, and of course, this guy, Kevin Dolan. Kev, I want to get into these games right away because I know you guys got a lot of opinions. I know this is probably a game that you're not too thrilled about because it is a difficult one to break down. But you've got Newcastle minus 120, the draw plus 293, Fulham plus 303, and you might wonder why this line is so low on Newcastle playing at home, but Fulham have seemed to found their scoring touch. 5-goal win at home against West Ham. 5-goal win against Nottingham Forest, also at home. They score 3 at Liverpool and then give up the lead late, lose 4-3. And then prior to that, 3-2 against Wolves, who are a team that normally are very tough to break down. Give me your thoughts on this one. Is there anything you can find in this, or is this just too tight a game?
I find it very tricky, Carmine. You know, as we know, Newcastle have been absolutely electric at home all year. Third best home record in the league overall. Number one in expected goals, number one in expected points. So definitely don't want to step in front of them for all their current troubles. You know, those stats don't lie. And look, for all Fulham's uptick in form, they've generated 15 of the 21 points at home this season in Craven Cottage. Take Fulham out of London, and they really have not been good this year. Just one win away from home all season. They own the third worst defensive XG rating in the league, so I can't even trust them to score goals in this one. But, you know, it's just all those intangible factors surrounding this game. You know, Newcastle running on empty right now, tired legs. They got that ongoing injury crisis, that heartbreaking loss against AC Milan after taking the lead as well in midweek in the Champions League. I just don't know where Newcastle's head's at in this one, so I don't want to trust. Look, we're talking about backing with you know, real money here, so I don't want to back either of these two teams this weekend. I think there's a lot better situations, you know, elsewhere in the card.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, Nick. I'm going to switch focus because I know you've chosen a side on this game, and Kevin makes a real good point. You take them out of London, and you look a win in their first game on the road at Everton, and that's when Everton just were struggling. They had some injuries, struggling to score goals at the beginning of the season. Everton seems to have put it together now that they are healthy, but it's just a slew of losses with a couple of draws. 5-1 at Man City, 2-0 at Tottenham, 3-1 at Aston Villa, 4-3 at Liverpool. Their draws came against Brighton and Crystal Palace. So we know Brighton isn't having the greatest of seasons this year, and we're going to talk about them up next. But is that uptick in this team finding the back of the net with regularity, the 3 of the last 4 games, even though it's at home, is that something you think they can carry onto the road this weekend?
I think it would be very difficult for them to continue the run that they're on. I mean, 16 goals in 4 matches is pretty insane. Do I think they can score? Yeah. Do I think they can continue to score at least 3 as they've done each of the last 4? Probably not. I think really this is just, Kevin kind of hit the nail on the head as far as the situation for Newcastle. I think ultimately, you know, not necessarily for them is it a good thing that they were eliminated from the Champions League, but for their position in the EPL table, it's a good thing they were eliminated from the Champions League because they clearly are very tired, have struggled. They just don't have a deep team like a Man City does to be able to juggle both of these competitions. And it's just a lot of matches that have caught up to them. You could see it clearly in their play as Champions League has really gotten ramped up and you got all the international breaks going on. I mean, it's just a lot of stuff happening and it's caught up to them and it's affected their position in the table. They currently sit 7th in the table, but all the metrics, as Kevin mentioned, especially at home, still point to this being a good team. They sit 4th in expected points. So, you know, data-wise, they are still a team that should be up in that top 4 position and battling for a Champions League, which I think ultimately they can make a run now. This particular game, I think, is just a very tough spot for them. They're still tired. Kevin said the heartbreak, right? I mean, I don't know from an emotional standpoint, how easy it's going to be for these guys to come around and all of a sudden but be able to get up for this match and put everything they can after being so close. I mean, they had their spot in the Champions League booked in that first half, and they had it until late in the second half. Even the draw was going to get them in there because that PSG result. But, ultimately it didn't happen, and that's just hard to recover from. So data-wise, I like Newcastle. I think they're a team to bet on going forward. I will look to bet on them a lot as we get past the holidays. Right now, this weekend, I don't want to touch them. I think it's a team you could actually fade here in this situation, is why I'm suggesting maybe taking Fulham in this match. I don't love it. I'm going to say that. It's not going to be a premium play for me. But if I'm taking a side, I would take Fulham. And just, the money doesn't lie. This thing opened up Newcastle minus 1 full goal. It is now Newcastle minus a half a goal, and a half a goal move in soccer, as you guys know, is pretty big. So obviously the value on Fulham is now gone, but the money has said that that's the side to bet. So don't love it, but Fulham plus a half a goal seems to be a decent play here, just because I don't see Newcastle really getting up for this one.
Yeah, Nick, sometimes you don't have to love them. You can plug your nose and find like an ugly dog, and they do just enough scoring to get you the money in. And scoring is where I want to talk to you about, Pavlos, on this one. You got a Newcastle team, and listen, Eddie Howe even talked about it, manager of Newcastle. This condensed schedule, a lot more games, and they just didn't handle the Champions League well, and they're not handling the league. It's managing the lineup, and then when you have a slew of injuries, it becomes even more difficult to manage that. But it's now three losses on the bounce for this team, losing to AC Milan at home, 4-1 at Tottenham, and 3-0 at Everton. They're back at St. James Park here. Do you pick a side here, or are we just looking at goals?
No side here. We're just looking at goals. There are several reasons why I like goals and some reasons why I don't like goals, but they all add up to goals. And there are several reasons why. Now, Newcastle, as you guys said, really tired from all that congested schedule. To be honest, I never really expected them personally to do well in the Champions League, because they don't have that big of a roster or that good of a roster. Yes, they're doing impressive stuff in the EPL, but if you look at the roster, they only have like 2-3 strong players, and all the others are youngsters who are just really good. So I wasn't expecting them to do well in both competitions, and now with all those injuries they have, results are against them. And I faded them against Everton, and I was really close to fading them in this match, but I took goals instead. I like the over 2.75 goals here, minus 110. I think that's a fair price for a match that's, Newcastle at home, they're always good for goals, but their defense is struggling a little bit as of late, and now they won't have Kieran Trippier, their starting wing back at the right side, who, by the way, is having a career season with 7 assists already, most in the EPL. And, if you look at his stats, he never had more than 7 assists in a whole season ever in his career. Now, midway through the season, he's already broken his personal record. So he's a very influential player for this Newcastle side, but he's suspended now. But they do get Dan Burn back in the left flank, which will probably shift Dino Livramento to the right flank. And I just don't think that their defense is just weaker as it was, compared to what it was earlier in the season. They do have an injury to Gordon, who was subbed off with a hamstring injury in their match against AC Milan. Gordon is a very, very strong player to bet on at home. I think most of his goals this season came at home, so that's a big blow. But if Gordon is unavailable, it's probably going to be Isak that starts in the left flank and Callum Wilson up front, which, in my perspective, is good for goals. Now, when you look at Fulham, you guys said it all. They scored a ton of goals in their last, 4 or 5 matches. That's not random. And to be honest, I was expecting Fulham to not be that good offensively this season, but they are. And Willian, actually, with 2 goals and 2 assists in the last 4 matches, he's also been a very good player for them. He's also questionable for this match. But the way that Fulham have been playing and the way that Newcastle's defense is not that good anymore and all that tiredness, I do see Fulham taking something here, but I wouldn't be surprised by a massive, massive goal fest. So I was expecting the totals to be at 3, but it's now 2.75, and I like that. So give me the over 2.75 goals at minus 110.
All right, Pavlos, I got this up, WagerTalk.com. And guys, it's Thursday, so don't forget, today is half price Thursdays at WagerTalk. Every daily package has been slashed in half. And these are even for plays that are going, for packages that are going on the weekend in the NFL and any other sport. But those prices return to regular pricing at midnight. So if you want to grab those daily packages for the weekend, pick them up today and get them at 50% off. Kev, I want to switch focus and head to the Emirates for this one. Arsenal and Brighton. Arsenal minus 212. The draw plus 367. Brighton plus 541. That is a big price on Brighton. Now you look at it as far as these teams being involved in midweek action. Arsenal played yesterday, I believe it was. A watered down lineup for the most part. They rested Saka, Martinelli. All these guys rested pretty much. They finished with a 1-1 draw against PSV. Now they get Brighton at home. Brighton is in play today, the day of recording this show, against Marseille, and that is for first spot in the group, Kev. And first spot gets a first round bye in the knockout stages of the Europa, with the second place team having to face the third place Champions League crossover team. Is this any of this affecting you, or is this just too much data and you've keyed in on a winner here?
Just basically copy and paste what you just said, because that is exactly my breakdown in this. I'm a huge fan of Brighton. You know, I have that future on them as well from the start of the season. But I do not rate their chances on Sunday against Arsenal this weekend. You know, as you mentioned, Arsenal's lineup against PSV, you know, Nketiah was starting, Nelson said, I mean, Declan Rice didn't even make an appearance in the 65th minute or whatever. So it just goes to show you Arsenal's thought process ahead of that game. It wasn't a concern. The job was already done in the group. But this isn't the case for Brighton tonight. You know, as you mentioned, they sit neck and neck, basically 1 point difference with Marseille. It's a winner-takes-all matchup at the Amex later tonight. And it's huge as well because, as you mentioned, these two competitions aren't the same. It's not a matter of just simply qualifying like in the Champions League, where granted you'll have to face a potentially tougher foe in the knockout round. The Europa League is a different format. You finish first, you're into the round of 16, congratulations, you know, bust out the sparklers. But you finish in second and you're paired up against the Champions League team in a two-leg playoff. So this is a huge game for Brighton tonight. You know, the fact will not be lost on either Brighton or Marseille in this game in terms of how they can drastically simplify their route to the knockout rounds with a win here tonight. So I believe Brighton are going to be all in on this game later tonight. I think both them and Marseille, you know, will obviously leave no stone unturned here in trying to get that top spot in the group. And because of that, I'm more than happy to fade, you know, both of these two teams in domestic action this weekend. So, yeah, look, I like Brighton, but I think this is a bad spot for them this weekend because I think they'll give full focus to this game on Thursday. So, yeah, Arsenal for me, minus 1.25 in the handicap line right now. I think it's even money. I'll probably pay a little bit extra to get that line down to a straight one. But, yeah, Arsenal's definitely the side for me in this one.
I have two things. Number one, I love the idea of paying a little extra money to bring it down to a 1 because I think Arsenal win at home where they're unbeaten this year, 9-0-2 across all competitions. And number two, we got to get a T-shirt made up with bust out the sparklers. I love that line from you, my friend. Nick, give me your thoughts on this one. You love to follow Kev on these shows because you can sort of go at him and rebut what he says. Are you in agreement with him, or are you going a different route?
I agree with one thing he said, and I do agree that Brighton is going to be trying to win the match here on Thursday. And in fact, that's the only play I have on the Thursday Europa card is in that match for that reason. How will that transpire over here? You know, the thing that concerns me a little bit about Arsenal is that, you know, they concede, and they concede a lot to the best teams in the league. You look at their results so far this year. They have 6 clean sheets on the season, but they rarely do that against the top half of the table team. So of their 6 clean sheets, you got Palace, Everton, Bournemouth, Sheffield, Brentford. Of course, there was also that 1-0 City win, but come on, Man City's clearly a shell of the former selves, the way that, sitting down fourth in the table. Of course, that's a joke, but I don't know that Arsenal can keep a clean sheet. So then that puts pressure on them to win, score 3 goals themselves, which can very easily happen. So just because I'm not 100% sure of Arsenal's defense here, I kind of stay away from that. So I'm not against Kevin. I don't have the cojones, as we'd like to say, to bet Brighton in this match, because I do think they're going to put a lot of eggs in their basket on Thursday night. But the one stat that is hard to ignore is 16-0. That's Brighton's both team to score record this year in the Premier League, 16-0. I just keep betting it every single week. I don't care what the price is. They've been a lot of the times approaching minus 200. In this game, it's only in the minus 140 range because Arsenal is looked at as a good team, and there's looked at as a potential that maybe they'll keep Brighton off the board. So I think you can play the both teams to score market at minus 140. I'll add, if you also combine that with over 2.5 goals, so if you think both teams will score, then now all we need is one more goal somewhere in that match. You can get it for even money. Both teams score, and over 2.5 is even money in this game. The total's set at 3. Sneaky way to buy down that total is another way to look at this. So I do think we're going to see goals. If Kevin and I are right that Brighton go all in on this match Thursday night, well, that hurts them defensively, right? So that will have tired legs there, and that will open up some shots for Arsenal to score. But I do believe Brighton finds something somewhere in this game. They've scored in every game they've played this entire season in all competitions. They've created over 1 expected goal in every match except for 2, 0.86 against Chelsea and 0.96 against City. So even in those matches, the worst offensive output matches, they still found a way, and they're still creating almost a full expected goal in those games. So it's just hard for me not to see them finding a goal somewhere. That's what it all comes down to. So both teams score and over 2.5, even money. I think it's a pretty good option.
All right, love it, Nick. And you pulled out that stat, and I was going to feed that one to Pavlos without saying the stat, because I know what that mindset of that fine gentleman with that fantastic beard was thinking. Pavlos, give me your thoughts on this game. Nick did mention, obviously, Brighton's BTTS numbers this year. Arsenal at home, 8 games, in 6 of them, both teams have scored. Give me your thoughts on this one.
Exactly. I think that's a couple of key stats there, with Brighton perfect 16-0 to the both teams to score, Arsenal 6-2 to the both teams to score at home in EPL matches. And here's where it gets interesting. Brighton, they have, is it 3 or 4? They have 4 wins in the last 4 matches in this venue. 4 wins in the last 5 matches in this venue. I know different seasons, different, coincidences or whatever, but that's a stat that you can't really overlook. Now, am I afraid of a 1-1 draw? Yes, I'm afraid of a 1-1 draw. I took both teams to score minus 140, jumped up to minus 135. It's not a really big jump, but this is one of the occasions where, Nick said it and he keeps on saying it about this Brighton incredible both teams to score record. And, this is one of the matches where you don't have to complicate it. Arsenal, yes, good defensively, but with some injuries in the defense. And Brighton, they also have some injuries in the defense, which forces them to use an 18-year-old. His name is Van Hinselwood or whatever. They used him twice as a right back, twice as a left back, once as a holding midfielder. He's and he plays well, but he's going to start today. On the day of the shooting, we're in this show, so they're out of players at the defense, and they're going to have a bad time against Arsenal. I'm not going to complicate it. I'm going to take just the both teams to score. Don't care who wins. I think that's the best way you can approach this match. Hopefully there is one more goal so Nick can cast his own bet, but I think I'm going to buy it down to the minus 135 just because I'm afraid of the 1-1 draw. So give me both teams to score, minus 135. Don't care who wins.
All right, maybe we mix those two together, Pavlos. Both teams to score and bust out the sparklers, as Kevin would say. Speaking of sparklers, this is the sparkling game of the week. Liverpool and Man United. Liverpool, minus 325. The draw's plus 495. Man United, plus 771. Anytime you go to Twitter or the X or whatever they call it right now, and you see the picture of the guy sitting in his kitchen at the kitchen table, the house is completely on fire, and the caption is, "I'm fine." That is Ten Hag and Man United right now, Kev. Uh, I don't know what to say, man. It's the same press conference with him after each and every game where they don't get a win. We played well, we deserved better. Give me your thoughts on this one.
I really didn't want to talk about this game, Carmine. I seen it pop up in the chat. I really didn't want to talk about it because, quick disclaimer, I had a 5% play on Bayern Munich in midweek against United. I wish I'd simply stopped at that and just took Bayern like the rest of these intelligent gentlemen on the show. But unfortunately, I instead looked at goals. I had the Bayern team total over 1.5 in that game. As to me, look, it was a must-win game for Manchester United. Anything other than a win to be out. So, silly old me expected, United at Old Trafford, raucous home support to come out swinging. They may as well take the game to Bayern. Probably their greatest European rivals of the last quarter century. If we cast the mind back, if for anyone watching the show was born around that time, the 1999 Champions League final, epic comeback by United. And like I said, United literally had nothing to lose. May as well go for it. You're out anyway. So I think they're going to come out aggressive. Bayern are going to start picking them off on the break, especially coming off that 5-1 loss to Frankfurt. And we're going to see some kind of, 3-2, 4-2 type of scoreline. But I honestly can't even put into words how angry I was watching that game. I try and obviously not let sports get the best of my emotions, but I was like that little red guy from, Inside Out, that movie where they're inside the brain and the steam's coming out of his ears because, like I said, a must-win game at Old Trafford in front of your home support against probably your greatest European rival across recent decades. And you managed just one shot on goal over the entire game, 0.09 XG in the first half. Like, are you joking me? That was absolutely pathetic. I'm not even a United fan, and I was absolutely ashamed by that performance. I can obviously understand the reasons for not firing Ten Hag at this point of the season. He is a quality manager. He's a solid tactician, blah, blah, blah. Who else are you going to get in to take over United at this stage of the season? Ring up Ralph Ragnick again. But he's completely and utterly lost the dressing room at this point. Sancho's down the pub. Rashford's off partying. Fernandes does nothing but moan 24/7. He's probably the worst captain in the entire Premier League. And, United don't need a tactician. They need someone like Neil Warnock or someone like that just to come in and start throwing chairs at them or something. I don't know how you get the players out of this. So there's no way I'm touching soggy biscuit Manchester United in this one. Want no part of them from now on. The culture's absolutely rotten in that club. It has been for a decade now. And look, on the other side, even without all that, Liverpool have been absolutely sensational at home this year. 7 wins from 7 games, but even more than that, their underlying numbers are absolutely dwarfing everyone else this year at home in terms of expected goals differential. So easy pick for me. Easy pick for me. Could even be another 7-0 here, who knows. But I'm quite happy to take Liverpool at Anfield on Sunday minus 1.5.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go, Kev. I'm with you 100% on that one. And Liverpool's in action today, Nick, on Thursday in Europa League, but they have already sewn up top spot in this group. So I expect, much like Arsenal, I expect to see the B team on the field today by Klopp with this Liverpool team. Give me your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, Liverpool are actually underdogs on Thursday, playing in a Belgian side, so that tells you who's expected on that field. But soggy biscuit is what Kevin says on United. Listen, he's right. I'm okay with if you don't agree that or don't feel comfortable laying the handicap on Liverpool. That's fine. Just don't bet the game. But I can't imagine there's somebody out there that could make a fathomable reason to anybody with real information, real data, real merit behind it that says, yeah, take United in this spot. I mean, how do you want to back that team right now? Somehow they're still overachieving. I mean, they sit 6th in the table in the Premier League because they're beating all the teams at the bottom, even though they're still not putting in good performances to get them. They have 27 points. Their expected points is 20.5. That's 11th in the Premier League, much more indicative of how they've actually been playing this year. The biggest concern I have for United is simple. Against quality teams, they stink. They've allowed 21 goals. That's tied for 6th fewest in the league, but their 29.5 expected goals allowed is 14 in the league. And again, you take away the weak sides, right? You're going to look at some ugly results. Newcastle, City, Brighton, Arsenal, Tottenham, Bayern twice, all ended in losses. Their best win of the season came against Chelsea last week. It was their best offensive performance in years. I mean, they created over 4 expected goals in that match, but they still allowed 2.3 to Chelsea. And there is no chance Liverpool allows anywhere near that type of chances created to United in this match. United has allowed against those elite teams an average of 1.91 expected goals against. They just cannot stop good teams. And Anfield is back. Liverpool looks awesome again at home. I mean, they kind of wasn't really the fortress that we've come to learn the last couple of seasons, but 10 wins, 10 games, all of them but one were by at least 2 goals. It was 4-3 last weekend against Fulham was the first one that wasn't by 2 goals. And I get it. It's been a rather easy home schedule thus far, but where are we really ranking United? Probably as another easy team, at least the way they're playing and what the data suggests. So I don't think there's any way United come away with something in this match. It's just a matter of will they lose by multiple goals. I think the chances are good. This line opened. I like to talk about the line movements. This line opened at minus 1.25. It is now minus 1.75. And Kevin and I are mentioning taking minus 1.5, which is also my suggestion here. You got to pay a little bit now because the line has moved, so it's about minus 130. But multiple goal win by Liverpool. I can't see anything else.
All right, Nick Borman, WagerTalk. Pavlos, these guys, I think they're on the right page here as far as Liverpool. And, we see the line go up. And that normally happens. These lines are posted early. The real money doesn't really come till the end of the week, or people make sure that that these teams came out of the Champions League competition or the Europa League competition without any major injuries. And then the money starts to flow. And we know what happened with Man United. We know what is at stake for Liverpool today, which is nothing. And we're going to see the B or maybe even a C squad from them on the pitch today. But does that get you on either side? Does it get you on the total, or are you looking at a different prop market here? Anytime, Pavlos.
I'm muted. Yeah, sorry. I'm looking at the prop in this match, and it was a pretty easy decision if you ask me. And I just looked at how Manchester United are doing in Anfield whenever they play in Anfield, because I tend to take this historical data very much into consideration in specific occasions. And this is one of the occasions. Big derby, year-long rivalry between the two sides. But in recent years, Manchester United have been decimated in this venue. Let me pull up the stats here because it's quite unreal. Last season they lost 7-0 in this venue, and they haven't won any of the last 7 matches in this venue. They lost 5 times and drew 3. So five losses and 3 draws in the last 8 matches here. And here's the fun fact: they scored just 1 goal in that span and conceded 18. So 3 of those matches were goalless draws. So both teams to score no is 7-1 in that span. And Manchester United not to score is plus 150 if you're looking into that kind of bet. However, I'm going to take a player prop in this case, and it's none other than Mohamed Salah, who has terrorized this Manchester United defense with 12 goals and 4 assists in 12 matches against them over the years. Last season, he scored 3 goals against them, and the season before that, he scored 5 goals against them. So he scored in each of the last 5 against Manchester United. And this season he's been terrific, simply terrific. 11 goals and 7 assists in the EPL, 3 goals and 1 assist in the Europa League, 4 more goals with Egypt. I'm just looking for Salah to do what he does best. And, against a sad and really demotivated Manchester United side, give me Mohamed Salah to score anytime at minus 120 at FanDuel. That's the best price you can find out there.
All right. So Pavlos is with his take on Liverpool, Man United. That's 3 games: Newcastle, Fulham, Arsenal, Brighton, and Liverpool, Man United covered on today's show. Kev, we're going to go to you first. We'll have a look at your leans. Tell us what you have up WagerTalk on 50% off Thursdays. And for those of you watching this show, Up until midnight, you can get any package that is loaded at WagerTalk, including Friday, Saturday, or Sunday plays for 50% off. At midnight, those return to regular pricing. I have an NFL 5% play up, so you can get that for half price, but it's going back to regular price at midnight. Kev, tell us what you got going.
I think I need some stress balls for the next time you make me talk about Manchester United, Carm, and calm myself down. But yes, EPL European players will be posted overnight. Just finishing off the card there. We came off a nice 4% winner in the Champions League last night. Newcastle AC Milan over after Bayern letting us down on Tuesday. And that's been the story all season. Number one in total profit across all UEFA competitions this year. So really looking forward. Maybe we get a big special out there for the folks they can lock in before the knockout rounds begin early next year. But yeah, we've got NFL. NFL will be up tomorrow as well. So expecting another big weekend.
All right. And when, Kev, when you think about those movies of living in someone's head, you want to think about being John Malkovich first and foremost. I think that was the better option. Nick, what do you have up at WagerTalk? And we'll have a look at your leans.
Right now, I have a best bet up for Friday's soccer card, and I have a lot of plays loaded already for Saturday and Sunday. I kind of avoided the midweek card this week in UEFA for the most part, just because a lot of games were kind of meaningless. So really just been focusing my attention, and I like this weekend's card and a lot of the domestic games. So looking forward to that, and been on a good run. It's been number one over the last 2 months, up over 50 units. Got a long way to go to catch Pavlos, but trying to claw back. But soccer's been good, so hopefully we'll continue that in the weekend.
Yep, Pavlos is on a fantastic run. And speaking of Pavlos, here he is to tell us what he has up this weekend. Pavlos, you're on such a great run. It is almost like in Formula One. I'm one of those cars that gets lapped. You've lapped me, and I'm like, I'm going to need a crash or a yellow car, a yellow flag or something for me to catch you. Tell us what you have going up, man, and congratulations on a phenomenal year.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. So don't expect any crashes from me. I'm very careful on how I allocate my units. Back-to-back wins with a 5% and a 4% on the Champions League. I got a 4%. It's actually a best bet 2-pack for Thursday. So if you watch this in time, go over to my page and check it out. Number one in the Bundesliga this season with plus 60 units. 66% win rate. I have 4% Bundesliga best bet loaded for Saturday. Number one in soccer this year with plus 210 units. That's pretty amazing. So all the rest of the plays for Saturday are going to be loaded in that best bet for the Bundesliga. So you buy essentially one play, and there's like 3 more plays loaded in that page. I still haven't decided on Sunday's plays, but I go day by day, and I'm probably going to load this later today, which is Thursday. So one best bet and more plays loaded for Saturday.
Awesome, Pavlos, and once again, congratulations on that phenomenal season by you and the guys on the show as well, too. Guys, that's it for today's show. 3 big games. We're going to be back next week. It may be our last show of the season before we kick it back off in January. A lot of winter breaks coming up. Champions League is done until the new year, as well as Europa. Don't forget the 50% off packages. For myself, Nick Borman, Pavlos Sargatos, and Kevin Dolan, this is Stoppage Time. Thank you for tuning in, and good luck with your wagers.